So let's look ahead to this weekend's game. I mean, the Ravens are, depending on which who you're looking at, they're kind of considered the number one team in the league right now.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not 1,000,000% sold that they are. I think they're well. The weird thing about the Ravens is that they're playing like a completely different team than they were last year,
Hmm.
which is probably fine because last year they were a quite flawed team. They really didn't have a good offense. They had a great defense. Um, you'd need to have a little more offense than they had probably, although they certainly could have won the Super Bowl in last year's mix. I mean, when you look at what Pittsburgh has, um, but I'm not. I like Joe Flacco.
Hmm.
I have a hard time believing that this offense is as good as it has shown. They've scored like 30 points a game. They've played bad teams. Uh, well, they played two bad teams. They played the Chiefs and they played the Browns, both at home. So I mean, those are teams you should romp against. But that doesn't mean you still have to do it. Um, but I mean, their numbers are just with basically the same cast, if not, they're not really improved that much. They added a rookie tackle, Michael Ower, to the mix, so maybe he's making a huge impact. But I don't know.
It definitely does seem like not the same offense for being the same offense.
And not the same defense either. Last year's defense was that Rex Ryan defense that attacked you all the time and forced a lot of turnovers. Now they did force some turnovers finally against Cleveland, but I just don't think that they have. I mean, they gave up almost 500. I mean, they gave up over 400 yards passing to Phillip Rivers, which is the only decent passing attack that they saw.
Hmm.
Now, if they can control the clock and just keep getting first downs, I mean, they've just been marching up and down the field. I mean, unchecked, including against San Diego, and San Diego's supposed to be pretty good. I don't think they're going to do that in Foxborough against the Patriots. Whether that means, I don't know what the line's going to end up being. It's probably going to be they'll probably make the Patriots by 3
Yeah,
by the
just the
time.
home factor. Yeah.
Just saying that they're basically even teams. I wouldn't be shocked if the Ravens won the game, but I think that it's going to come down to a couple breaks probably because the Ravens they are well balanced. They stop the run, they stop the pass, they can run and they can pass now, and the Patriots are in that same group. So
Well, looking at some of the defensive stats that I was looking at,
Mhm.
and it seems like the Patriots defense is really highly ranked right now, considering the way that they've been playing, and they're like the number 4 or 5 defense in the league right now.
Yep.
And Baltimore's kind of dropping down to the middle of the pack, at least stats wise.
Right.
I mean, obviously, when you're winning games, 38-24, 31-26, you need your defense to come up big. A 34-3 game,
Yeah.
that's going to help things too.
The stats are a little misleading on both ends. Baltimore kind of looks a little worse in some of the numbers than they really are, and New England looks a little better in the numbers, and that has a lot to do with what they're doing on offense because they're controlling the clock. I mean, New England's like I always look at yards per play. Like to me, that's the real number to look at. I mean, the biggest number is points because that's all that really matters. But yards per play gives you an idea of how well teams are doing just on their side of the ball. I mean, if the defense is asked to run, if the defense only, let's say the offense has the ball for 80 plays and the defense only has it 40 plays, well, the defense is going to look great because it's not going to give up that many yards, even if, but you might be getting off some good cracks at them and just not the offense. Sometimes, the offense and the defense help each other out. And I think, but that's what good teams do. The other side of the ball makes them better. And that was a prime example against the Falcons where the offense and the defense worked perfectly together to win that game. And that's what Belichick has always been the best at, is he finds a way to make the two sides of the ball. It's not just, okay, we have an offense and we have a defense. It's a cohesive game plan that I think the other teams don't necessarily have. So,
well, let me throw some numbers out at you.
Sure,
here,
I'd like to hear them.
Obviously, the thing that concerns me the most heading into this game is the fact that the Ravens are number 5 in rush yards right now, 156.7 per game, and the Patriots look like they could potentially be without Vince Wilfork in the middle and using a combination of like Myron Pryor, Ron Brace, Mike Wright, a lot of these guys stuffing up in the middle, and you have Ray Rice, who is, a young running back, and you have
Sorry.
Willis McGahee, who's kind of more of a proven running back. You're looking at right now 5.9 yards per carry for McGahee with 5 touchdowns, and Rice at 5.1 yards per carry.
Right.
Those numbers kind of scare me against a team that might not have, their number one guy in there for stuff in the run.
Yeah, not having Wolfork would be a big blow. And I think if it's a sprained ankle, which is the assumption that's being made, insiders are saying, without Wolfork, I mean, they definitely might run it up the middle. I mean, I do think that they can. Again, it probably as they're moving to more of a 4-3 on defense, and Wolfork is not the only guy in there. I mean, let's put it this way: Belichick has already kind of amazed me by being able to the Mayo injury hasn't really hugely hurt them. I mean, they've played 2 good games without Mayo.
Mm-hmm. It really kind of only hurt them in that first game when they were kind of scrambling to make the adjustments. And
right, when you lose a guy mid-game, it's different than when you have a week to prepare for it. It's but when you lose a guy mid-game, it's like it's like you're at your wedding and all of a sudden someone forgets the ring and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. If you knew the ring wasn't going to be there, you could make another plan. Like that analogy?
I like that. That's good.
Thanks. That's free of charge.
Would you like some Ravens trivia?
Sure.
Okay, Derek Mason is their number 1 receiver, but who is their number 2 receiver?
I know that answer. It is former Patriot special teamer Kelly Washington.
The Squirrel.
That's his nickname?
That's his dance. That's his end zone
dance.
The
Squirrel dance? He hasn't had a chance to use it.
He has a touchdown on the season already, so I want to know if he did the Squirrel, and is he going to do the Squirrel in Foxborough? Because
we'll have to research that.
We only saw it once. So if he gets the chance, I think he's definitely going to break it. I think he only did it one time in a game with the Patriots, so I think he will break it out if he scores.
Well, it's funny that Washington is getting his chance to be a receiver in Baltimore, and now this year in New England, Sam Aiken's getting his chance to be a receiver as their number 4 guy, and he kind of was in the Kelly Washington. They're basically the same player. Tall, average receivers who are good on special teams. So I don't know. But the Ravens hit a lot of different guys. I want to say they had 7 different guys with 8 catches or more, which goes out to a pace of about 40 catches. If you can hit that many different targets, that's usually the sign of a good quarterback, especially when he doesn't have great targets, which is what Brady always did. So maybe Flacco's for real. I don't know. I mean, he is for real. It's just I guess it's a question of how good is he? Is he a really good quarterback, or is he going to be? Is he a Hall of Fame quarterback? I mean, he certainly could be. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. What do you have is your crystal ball telling you anything?
I've been going over this in my head, and I really can't predict a score. Obviously, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game.
Okay.
But I mean, I can't even call it at this point. I think the Patriots are going to pull this one out because they have to. I think they have to prove that they can beat one of the quality teams in the league just for their own belief, just to fuel their own fire going forward. And this is probably the best time that they're going to be able to sneak up on a team. And Baltimore looks a little susceptible to that, I think.
Yeah, Baltimore, I think that they're kind of...
they might be overinflating themselves considering the competition.
You never know who you never know what a team's thinking in their own locker room. I think...
I know what Ray Lewis is thinking.
Well, Ray Lewis is...
He's thinking they're the greatest team ever.
Well, he probably always thinks they're the greatest team ever, and sometimes he's right. I think the Ravens right now are a slightly better team than the Patriots, but it's coming to Foxborough. I think a lot depends on whether they're going to have Wolfork and Welker in there. They still miss Welker big time. I don't care what Edelman does. He's not Welker. I would probably pick the Ravens to probably win by a couple points, but I think it's about a 60-40 one way or the other. So
we'll have more accurate predictions in
Sunday Standard Times. But please send your angry emails to send them to I'm not going to read it.com. That'll be great.